barely happening. Then you have no materials, which means you have no car parts, and you know it's so there we have a lot of work ahead of us. But you know we're slowly cranking away. But what would you like to talk about today?
So I would like to ask you, since the mayor
Snow,
does
I
hold a bit
enjoy
of
the
power with
RP,
police
man. Always
department,
appreciate
what you're
it.
looking to do with my police department in specific. If you have any plans in your future for it.
My plans are to turn you guys into an actual proper police force, and not just a bunch of loppers.
Mm.
Because sorry for being very like pointed, but I've had a lot of these conversations, so I'm kind of, my issue is, as of right now,
No, be as blunt as you'd like.
oh perfect, you guys are complete dog shit. There's barely any seasoned cops. A lot of these court cases are being lost over not knowing RSMPC. I got officers that come crying to me saying, oh my god, I'm gonna get fired. And it's like, well, how about you don't be a fucking dumbass? You know what I mean? I see detectives going up on the stand and saying, I don't remember why I arrested somebody. People questioning, why do I need to fucking put a report in? Like, or finish my job. I've been in the cells where I've had my clients dying, and they're more interested in telling me to shut the fuck up while I'm concerned for someone who might die. I have friends that have had their rights violated. It's so bad that while there are some good cops in that department, I feel like you're surrounded with, you know, the remaining fluids that was excreted out of Max Thoroughbred's little penis, who hope that one day the LSPD becomes a military again and can just shoot people just for fun. So how do I plan to fix that is I need to put a chief of police that's in place that can focus on building up the police department instead of encouraging officers to go to each and every call just shooting everything that moves. And
Okay.
that requires the right people, but the problem is no one wants the job.
Mm.
So you tell me, Dana, how do I fix it?
See, you're going through a bit of the same that I went through. Because in case you didn't know, I was a part of the skeleton crew for this police department. I've been here since ground zero. I've seen a lot of
By the
things.
way, I just like
in
being...
the beginning, we had a lot of structure
I like doing
and
the
a lot of
reaction
demand
shit.
for what our job was.
I don't know where the fuck this shit comes out of my mouth.
That seemed a little too, how do I say, aggressive to people, apparently. It was a certain, in a certain aspect. But to me, it was me upholding the standards that I was fighting for, you know, that I was upholding. But then it got met with being overrun by previous people that were hired 5 years ago that had power, like Barrick, like Vivian. And a lot of those people have a very antique mindset, I like to see as, which I think is doomed to fail. Because as I think right now, I don't know who you're planning to put up for chief. I don't know if you do have somebody set and planned. But I'm telling you right now, if it continues with Barrick, it's gonna go down with Barrick, because
Barrick is dog shit. I screamed at him. He's useless. He retired a long time ago. He spent 5 weeks, by his own admission, telling me what I wanted to hear, because he was afraid I was going to become mayor. So he decided to start telling me everything he thought I needed to hear. He then stood here and told me that he was sucking my dick the entire time. I have seen him glaze criminals and then subsequently glaze the cops. In other words, he's just out there making everyone happy. He'll go, if there's a shootout with like Changang in the evening, he will be like, oh yeah, they fucked up. And then he'll go tell the cops, oh yeah, that fuck those criminals. That's not a fucking leader. That's a fucking pussy that only wants the title. And luckily, he exposed himself very quickly, because when the BCSO came down here, after me being in this seat for only an hour, and they came and tried to tell me that they needed interceptors a highway unit, and it's not going to be a cargo fast unit. But in the same fucking breath, they tell me they're going to attach the calls, and I'm like, this is the first thing you talk to the mayor about, you fucking morons. Is that Barrick stood here and he had a backbone. He had a backbone. He actually was confused, just as I was, why the fuck this is being brought up as the first thing. And then after telling me that the BCSO, all right, that the BCSO has been doing this kind of shit to him, that no one tells him anything, and this is what it is. And I told him, I got your fucking back no matter what, and I'll do whatever's necessary. That this pussy cunt goes and starts glazing Andy and comes back and tells me, we fucked up, blah, 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 blah. What a fucking snake bitch.
You know, sir, I spoke with Barrick when he got his role. Because soon after that, I quit. I had a brief leave. I spoke with him because I told him exactly what his problems were, or that he needed to fix. Because no one in this police department knows to play the most important game out of all of them, which is the people's game, which is why we wear this badge. And when I say the people's game, I don't say for the people out in Los Santos. I say the people in his very own department. He doesn't know how to perceive people. He doesn't know how to talk to them and see what's wrong and try to make them better for their role. That's been always the problem that I always try to fix, but it's met with different views from the higher ups. See, that's my problem, Mr. Chavez. Because these cops, they wear a badge for the sake of it. They wear the badge for the thrilling chases and whatnot. I wear my badge because I want to protect everybody else that doesn't wear one. I made a sewer expedition, first citywide sewer expedition, to care about the people down below. No one else did that. I got doctors to analyze the ambience down there and to take samples. Unfortunately, they didn't really come back with me with a report. I was going to do a press release on it, but they didn't really come back to me on that. But my intentions were very clear that I didn't care about what illegal shit went down there because I knew there was stuff that went down there. I care about the people living down there because that's what I care about. I care about the people. I did a full day. It was almost, I think, 12 hours of a senior buns shift. If you don't know what that means, it's me standing in the food court impeding stuff from happening because we had calls back to back to back every day and day out. And when I did that senior buns shift, 0 incidents happened. 0. It was crime free for the rest for that day and for the 3 days after. I do my job for the people, and that's what they don't get. Because they want the exhilarating chases and the shoot people.
Yeah, I see that.
These people don't even know how to read, Mr. Chavez. I had my very own Lieutenant Vivian Gray didn't know the difference between assault with a deadly and an attempted murder.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Now it's getting spicy.
The worst part wasn't that she didn't know. It was she tried to I'm gonna say what she said verbatim, which was, "I have my opinion as you have yours." When I was the foundation for law in this police department, I made a guide for people to go to bench trials and have a full detailed report with objections because I know what I'm talking about. But she is a lieutenant. She can do whatever she wants, I guess. And that's why I came here, because I want to see what you have in mind for it and see if it works. Because if it doesn't work, I will put myself far and beyond to try and take the police department for myself and try to bring it to a standard that's good for Los Santos.
You're saying because you want to be chief?
If what you have planned doesn't work, yes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's interesting because you're the only other person that has shown even a remote amount of interest in the position.
I'm tired, Mr. Chavez, of rolling out in the street and people making fun of me because they think my department is dog shit, because they think my department is useless, and it's not. They should be thanking me for the service that we provide, but they don't because we don't provide a service.
Mm.
We don't help people. That's what they don't get. That's what they're not taught. I taught people in the academy to defend their morals and their rights, and to defend people's rights as well, because that's what they're there for. But a lot of the people that were from the old got power, and the same mindset rolled through.
Okay. So
I always had I always
Sorry, go
had a
ahead.
bit of sorry. I always had a bit proximity with the mayor because I spoke with Max. That's why he viewed very highly of me as well, because he knew that I was. It was before he went on this crazy path of. Before he took his hand on the police department, because he saw what I did was good, because I got approval from him and the medical board to do the sewer expedition, and he liked it very much. He was very happy for it. That's why I came here to you, because I like sharing the mayor's ideals, because we're working for you. And I want to make sure what your ideals are my ideals as well.
Hmm. Okay. So if you're a chief, what is your plan?
My plan, first glance, I would remake my command structure, because my key thing that I mentioned to Barrick, which, as I can see, has failed tremendously still, is communication. I will set up a network of me, my assistant chief, and even though it's probably not gonna be looked at in good eyes, but I want a captain for the sole purpose of me being shift 1, my assistant chief potentially shift 2 or 3, and the captain will be the opposite of that. With the sole purpose of trying to emulate what the 3 captains were in the past, but better, because in this occurrence, I'm the chief. I have final say on things, and how the department should be run, and I will probably consult you for it if it's too tough for me to take a decision on it. Because I want to seek what's best for the police department, and I don't play games with this nepotism games or these per shift basis things. I want things to be united. I want things to make sense. And my idea is to focus on purely on recruitment, because that's our biggest flaw right now. Is
What's
getting
wrong with the
green,
recruitment right now?
because I think the people that are being recruited have a really unstable process of learning. That's why when they get the full officer, we have people getting thousands of complaints against them, because they didn't really get taught that much. They lack foundations given from people. So I'm planning on doing a slight restructure to how they learn and how they're going to be taught, with simple steps for the FTOs to follow.
Thank you the fresh sub. Appreciate you.
And to implement. And my aim is to improve the police department from its base, because without a base, I can't do anything for the future officers. Try to improve the base, and then focus on the next hires.
Would you like we a little transparency, so we got policy that we're writing up, and the expectation is that policy is kind of like policy based on the voice of the people, right? Expectations.
Yes.
Not how the PD should be run, but what the priorities are, right? And one of the things in the policies would be that there needs to be like a shift commander, right? 1, 2, and 3. It is like their shift. They can speak to that shift. They make the decisions for that shift. The chief is very much an administrative role. That shift commander is not is rank agnostic. So you could, in theory, have like a sergeant that's a shift commander for 1, right? But a lieutenant for 3. You understand what I'm saying? It's a responsibility not a rank, right? And that way, if one shift is less developed, the rank is your own to figure out. But with that said, for shift 1, 2, and 3, who would you want leading those shifts? Nito's asking this to be like, how much have you actually thought about this?
I think shift 3 might be already kind of set on their own development. I think because out of all three shifts, I think shift 3 is the best and the most stable one right now.
Sure, but remember, you got to pick 3 shift commanders. Who would the 3 be? So, like, who would you place in shift 1?
Shift 1. I would like to see how Malcolm Nakota would fare with it.
Okay. And then shift 2?
Shift 2. Probably either McNulty or Callista Bell.
Okay. Is Bell shift 2? Because she's kind of
I think so.
teeters on 1 and 3, from what I've seen. I could be wrong. And McNulty, I don't know if he'd want that responsibility. So, like, who else? I'm not saying those are the wrong answers. I'm just saying from what I've seen.
And they have a bit of setbacks. Okay.
Yeah.
If those two
Doesn't matter. He doesn't want to be high command.
I would say maybe Sergeant Bayweather, I think, would be a good trial for it.
Okay. Shift 3?
I would say Miss Skyfae. I think she's good for the job.
Okay. What's wrong? Why are cops not coming on duty?
It's a very good question. To be honest, I would have to do my own groundwork for that to see.
Okay. So you have to you would have to investigate
I have my own
personal.
I'd have to investigate it. I can say my own personal reasons why I wouldn't come on duty more.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Because for me, I truly hate with a passion inconsistency. I hate it. I hate when people do one thing and then for the next incident with the exact same circumstances, they do something different. I hate it. And it shows poor work from our side. It shows poor work to the outside. I hate it. So I saw every time I patrolled, because I used to, when I got hired, I used to patrol almost 8-hour shifts every day. And I was enjoying it because there wasn't that many inconsistencies. Nowadays, we'd see inconsistencies on every single call, and it frustrates me because I have no power to fix any of those. And then the other occurring thing is people antagonizing criminals and me getting shot up for it. Which I don't know why that started to begin with, but it wasn't a problem that got sorted. So, at the time it was reversed. I think it's gotten a bit better now. But those were my main 2 issues, because I like when people are consistent and they talk with each other and communicate, which is one of the worst problems in the police department. If we can't communicate, what's the point? Because we're here to work with each other, not against each other. So, if I have the slightest amount of power, that's the first thing I would fix. The communication. That's why I would make the command structure changes that I suggested. Because I want to be able to hear what the problems are in each shift. I want to be able to hear what the problems are so I can fix them.
So when you talk about inconsistency, how do you handle the inherent inconsistency between shift 1 and shift 2 because they're two different beasts, two sets of different problems. Isn't that naturally going to be inconsistent?
In some aspects, yes.
Capone, thank you for the 5 months, man.
But it shouldn't be inconsistent how we approach the issues. Because if you get a shootout in shift 1, it should go out in the same lines that it would go in shift 2. Obviously.
But so I'm going to give you an example, right?
Okay.
If you pit the besties a little too fast or like whatever, you might get in a shootout, but you know, you might detain them. You go pit a gang in shift 2 or like get aggressive, you might all get wiped.
I'm
There's
sorry,
like-
sir, but that happens in every shift. I'm gonna be honest with you.
They're getting wiped. Well, let me put it
Getting
a different
shot
way. There's a higher level of expectation for more rope being given in shift 2 versus shift 1. So would you want to either allow both ecosystems to exist, or do you think both would need to be in line with one another?
So this is the one of the other big things that people, or at least Command Plus, are too focused on that I firmly believe in. That they focus too much what's written on paper, right? SOPs are a guideline. SOPs are not staple for every situation. Obviously, I would like situations to be as consistent as possible. But there are situations that require different approaches sometimes, and especially with more aggressive groups or less aggressive groups. Really depends. That's why I heavily focused on, and when I was before I quit, I focused on setting a whole network of reports, of gang reports, to measure their aggressiveness level. That's what I started doing.
Less toxicity, more
Unfortunately, I
prime
quit
and
after,
resubs.
and I don't think.
And
I
gift
think
sub.
a
Let's
few
go.
officers kind of picked up on
Get to it.
but that will be a program that I will be reinstating in force
Toxic
to
tax.
try and
Let's go.
measure aggressiveness and try and figure
to
out
work.
how do we operate if we can identify the group. Because if you can't, it will go pretty much as staple as it is, as a regular situation would. I don't know if that made sense.
It does.
Okay.
What you're saying
Let's go,
is
chat.
that every situation is unique.
Yes.
So and don't take this like I'm trying to do a gotcha, but if it's a matter of treating every situation differently, then how do you equally say that it should be consistent? Because aren't those two concepts diametrically opposed?
In theory, yes. But when I talk about consistency in those instances, is we as a police department have this
Medi
standard operating
2024.
procedures, and we should follow them to a certain extent. Because there's some things that we should do on every single instance, meaning we should warn them, we should give them the opportunity to surrender, things of that nature. Be aggressive when lives are threatened. Use lethal force
tier 3 to
when lives
backseat.
are threatened to that point. Those are the things that I'm talking about. And the more consistency aspect is not more so the responsive situations.
Yeah, subs
how
subs
we
can
treat them
call
afterwards
toxic
with the
non-subs
law
pussies.
system.
Yes.
Because
As
even
is
then,
always the case.
even just
Hold the
before I
line.
came here, I had
No matter what side you're on.
people
Don't be weird.
arguing with me, or not with me particularly, but they're arguing what we should charge for a laundromat. A laundromat that Mr. Chavez has been happening for the past four months, I think, 5 maybe, and they're still arguing what charge should go for it. When for me it's very cut and dry. That's a robbery.
Yes,
But
has
the char-
been. I actually won a court case 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago that established that.
Hmm.
with 4 officers present. So that's interesting.
You know that because again, they fail to read. They fail to try and learn, to try and understand why those concepts are there. Because in itself, the charges are not very explicit. Because for me personally, those two charges that they were arguing about are both bad for the scenario. Are both bad to be put in the laundromat scenario. But
Pussies.
in the absence of a good one, we charge the one that makes the most sense and not try to make sense out of a very extravagant charge, if that makes sense. Because they're trying to. I, I just found it. I found it ridiculous that officers are trying to charge. Actually, let me get the. It was robbery of a high security institution for a laundromat.
Mm.
Can you tell me in what world does that make sense?
Well, it doesn't. It's already been proven in court.
Exactly. So they were still arguing it apparently, and I said no, that doesn't make any sense. A laundromat is not a high security institution.
Yeah.
It's not even labeled there. Why is it being? I don't know.
Yeah,
I gave
there's
my
not a lot
reasons for
of
it.
there's not a lot of IQ points in the PD. It's unfortunate. I think there's a general attitude of we are cops, therefore we know what's right, which is kind of backwards because I don't know at what point like PD thought they I don't know. Like with all due respect, I mean outside the like outside of fucking Los Santos, you get a badge in 6 months. Over here, you get it, in like what over a 3-day weekend. Like so, I don't really genuinely understand where that's coming from when everyone's losing their fucking court cases and don't understand the general principles of why a constitution exists or why I don't know lawyers are asking for FOIAs and what they need them for and why that actually encouraging officers to write reports actually helps the PD and doing opposite does well them injustice, but that requires synapse to be firing in the brain. Here's my problem though,
I,
Dana.
I don't know why the FOIA process became so bad again. I don't know. It's
Well, when the assistant chief of police tried to push back and the chief justice at the time, Crane, said, but people should just be doing it, bro, and was yelled at. That's the heart of it, because people's brains shut off.
they lack effort.
Critical
Mayor.
thinking.
They lack effort.
I agree. People got lazy, so therefore they turned their brains onto idle mode, and then the critical thinking stopped. So when pressed against the problem, they didn't know what the fuck to do, and the only reaction was fucking emotion. It's no different than the tow guy that just attacked me because his pay went down, or the other civilians or anyone else in the city that comes and says, oh my God, everything around me is ending because I need this thing. And then 30 minutes later, they don't give a shit anymore and they're doing something else. It's literal brain damage stemming from laziness. It is what it is. And the PD's not agnostic to it. You know what I mean? Just because you got a badge doesn't mean you're not going to be any different than, someone else. There's grinders on the streets. There's grinders in the PD. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
That's why we need to make the people's game work.
yeah. So Dana, I like the general attitude you're sort of presenting here, but the thing that I would be concerned with is I've never met you before. Have you been around, or is you like, how many hours on duty have you been this last 30 days?
Very slim.
Okay.
For the same reasons I brought up earlier.
Understandable. And I'm not going to necessarily hold that against you because I don't really give a shit about that particularly. But you're asking to take on probably one of the most, difficult roles that the city has.
I know. I'm aware.
You are
I
going
know I'll
to
be
be shit
hated.
on.
I know I'll be hated for it. and
Okay.
they'll be scrutinized for it, and they'll be probably shot for it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what
you might
matters to
lose the
me?
entire police department. What if everyone
Maybe.
transfers? What if they're like, who's Dana? What are you going to do? How are you going to resolve that?
I build my own police department. I'm building my police department. If you want to stay, you stay. If you don't, you don't.
Okay.
I don't care if I have to start with 1, 2, 10 officers. But I make sure that I'll build the best department that I envision, and not what, and not what it is now. That's for sure.
And what if Blaine County comes and starts dictating what you should do down in the city?
As far as I'm aware, they're not in my jurisdiction. The person that I should be seeking guidance or what to do is right in front of me.
All right. And what if Bones says, well, we're going to come down here because there's crime happening?
And if they want to assist, that's fine. But because we are neighboring counties and we should work together.
Okay.
Because we're working to defend the same thing.
What if they take
believe.
over your scenes?
Oh no. It's my town. It's
Okay.
not his.
Fuck, man. I wish
That's
she
why
was
I
around
said
more.
keyword help.
I would oh fuck. Bro, this would listen, the spice side of me is like, oh shit.
Help in that instance. If it's that what they consider help, they can transfer over if they want to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Dana, let's chat more tomorrow, all right?
Okay.
Gotta all right. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Have a good day, and I hope you get better.
All right. I have to remove some of my bias